Now you see the same clouds, but they don't have the ability to block you from what you are. Yes, that's really the message. Can you hear me back there? All right. You want to start now? I guess. How you doing? Your yearly re-uppings. Yeah. This is a very interesting. It's not like the elk, you know, the moose lodge or something. The dues are very minimal and they diminish as they go on, you know, once every 5 years. Or some people just send me a Christmas card. Thank you, you know. It's awesome, really. Because all I wanted, well, in a way, it's not on now, is it? Oh, it is on. You can edit it, right? So this is just personal. In hindsight, all I wanted was to get this out, yeah? Now I felt when I was speaking in recovery in AA in San Francisco and in Marin, I got sort of characterized. So my names were Non-Self Paul, Buddha Paul, Fourth Step Paul. And in that way, as soon as you're named, there's a loss of something, yeah? So people don't hear you really. They may be listening, but they don't hear, they have an idea. And I felt like it was limiting the influence of the message. And we used to put out CDs, thousands of CDs with just dates on them, and no one knew where they came from when they found them. And they went a lot of places, to Iraq War, all these places. So it got out there. But in the recovery, I just felt like through a website we could put the information out, and you would hit those characters in different groups that it would, you know, click. So one of my oldest sponsees, I'd known him for like 27 years. He lives in Minneapolis, so he called me yesterday, and he was at a meeting, and some person was talking to me about the message at the meeting. So he called, and he went up to the guy, and said, "I know that guy, Paul Hedderman." And he goes, "No way." I said, "Yeah," and they called me. So I got to talk to these people from Minneapolis. So, you know, this was the whole point, is put out this idea, because it's just, it has the most minimal requirements necessary, because you're it, really. Yeah, so all you have to learn is what you're not. Yeah. Where most of the time we're trying to learn things as we are, or for what we are, or by what we are, about, let's say, what we are, yeah? But all coming from a false premise. That's why you would think like, yeah, when I work hard and I'm vigilant, no one's breaking into my house. But if you're living with the thief already, that security doesn't work. The security is actually reinforcing the establishment of the thief, because the thief, obviously, not being thwarted by the defenses, must be you, or must be somehow aligned with you, yes? So you can't, the logic is minimal. There's maybe 5 or 6, maybe a lot more, but they're finite. There's only a number of logical ways of looking at things from the mental state. Very severely myopic, yeah. So you realize you can't rely on it, yeah. So maybe you try to stop relying on it, and then you run into its first defense, which is you're trying not to rely on it as it, yeah. So we run into the first, like, it's almost like there's the castle, and then there's a moat. You realize, oh, there's just the castle, I'm just gonna go in, but then you fall in the moat, but there's a number of moats, so to speak. But actually, you think you're trying to get, it's actually you're in the castle. There's a moat, yes? So they're actually serving you in a way, because you'll realize it's a whole, the direction is off. You're trying to get out of what you're not in, and you're trying to get into what you're not out of. So you're trying to get into the castle, but you're not out of the castle. Yeah? There's just a strong assumptions we're out of the castle. So then the moats seem to, oh, I've got to cross these moats and stuff like that. But then the other way, if you see you're not that, then you're in the castle. Yeah, so do the moats stop you from getting to the castle? Of course not. Yeah. Every time, quote unquote, you fall in the moat, you realize that's not you, because you're in the castle. Yeah. So anything, all that is attempting to approach the castle and trying to arrive at the castle is not you, because you have the always available at all time reference that once they gain traction, you're on a journey. Yeah, and you even look at it, how it's called a spiritual journey. But what goes on a journey? A body. Yeah. Does spirit journey from America to China? Where's the end of spirit? You know, I would say spirit is basically not locatable because it's everywhere. So there's no journey. There's no spiritual journey. Yeah, it's referencing a body. A body goes on a journey, and a body arrives. Yeah, and the body has the idea of that it could possibly leave. Yeah, it's all referencing a body. And if you look, like, I got to the spiritual mountaintop. Who gets to a fucking mountaintop? Not spirit. Spirit's encompassing it all. A body arrives at the mountaintop, and then it sees what it can never see as a body from there. But it's a body there and a body here. Yeah, that's what we're going to run into. And if you spent a lot of time to run into it, and if you haven't spent a lot of times, listen to people who have spent a lot of time trying to arrive at the mountaintop, because you can learn and you can save yourself a lot of tread on your fucking, hiking boots and shit. You can just sort of sell them, yeah, get slippers, easier approach. So there's something you can learn from a failed system, and that it's failed. So you can hear. So to me, how I saw it was, I listened. I was assuming I was hearing it from the correct location about non-duality and about consciousness and about this and that and the void and emptiness. But from where I was seeing it from, emptiness sounded like a thing. Yeah. The void seemed like it at an undisclosed location, maybe in Iowa or somewhere. I could get to the void. It's just because my head can't entertain it any other way. It's conceptual. That's what it does. It conceives and conceives of stuff. And so it hears something, but you don't realize the hearing is defined by the sheepness. Yeah. So again, it's that simple reminder to the lion that don't worry about you're a lion, because you are. Worry about, are you a sheep? Yeah, because you're not. Yeah. So if the lion starts entertaining knowledge about the sheep, and it goes, wait, that sounds just like me. Hey, that's exactly what I do. And I may not be that. Yeah. So you allow the sheep interpretation to verify the idea of the sheep, but then you see it from something other than the sheep. Yeah. So now you're not beholden to the sheep logic and the sheep view. Yeah. Now, even though to every other sheep you look exactly like every other sheep, but now there's a sense of not knowing you're a lion. Yeah, because that would just be a way of combating knowing that you're a sheep. It's being a lion. So there doesn't even need to be remembrance, because it's never forgotten. Yeah. In other words, you never were not a lion. See, that's the absoluteness of the message. You were never not what you are, no matter how long you seem to be something else. Time doesn't make it so. Yeah, it's just like if you woke up this morning. When you woke up this morning, maybe you dreamt of, your dream was of 300 years. Did it take you a month to wake up? And then some dreams were about 10 minutes, one little situation. You wake up at the exact same time. It wasn't like, oh, I was dreaming 300 years, so it's going to take me months to wake up. Or I was dreaming just this one situation, diving into the ocean, and that should just take me 5 seconds. No, they both don't take any time, bammo, yes? Because it's not based on the time. The dreaming could be of eons, and it still is quote unquote dismissed in a before a second, because it isn't so. That's the whole absoluteness of the message. It's not like, all right, I give it to you. You were a sheep that day when you really fucked up, and you killed those people in the other car, other sheep. Yes, all right, you were a sheep that day. So this is what happens. You can't bend the message to fit the sheep. You just question the sheep. Yeah? With the hopes that the lion hears it. And when the lion hears it, it doesn't go, I'm not that. It's not like, it's just like, hey, matter-of-factly, I'm not that. Now, let's see if that's going to gain traction or not. How are you going to know? Well, you'll find out. If you don't, hey, well, go to Marin City once a week. Yes, what the hell? I mean, it's the easiest reminder because you can't be forgotten. So it's such an easy remedy. You come to the doctor, he has no pills, no fucking tablets, no anatomy pictures. It's because the remedy is already the condition. You don't, you will inevitably become free from sheep. No, you are a lion. Yeah, but it doesn't work to say it to the lion that it's a lion when it's engaged as being a sheep. So the whole mental sheepness is in the act of being identified as a sheep. Yeah, so when you hear the message, you're a lion, what catches it or claims it is that which is in the act of being identified as a sheep. So it identifies itself as a sheep, hearing the message that it's a lion. That neuters the message. That's what it does. Yeah? So the wiffle ball is thrown. The catch is expecting a hard ball, therefore it seems to be a hard ball. So it never gets fucking through. Yeah? Because the sheep seems to catch the message that it's a lion, and we've explained it tons of times. The first video we ever did was this dilemma. And then it tries to become like a lion as a sheep. And it will get a lot of people together that are in the same, they're in the same logic, because who's going to question the logic? You know, you have to have it fail enough maybe to realize, hey, maybe this isn't my logic. Maybe it isn't A, B, C, D, E. Maybe it's A to F, yeah? It can bypass B, C, D, E, yeah? Maybe it's not going to take less time, it takes no time. What? How can something happen? It must take time. Not that which is always happening. Doesn't take any time. Yeah? So you dispel the illusory logic of the mental state by just seeing it. You know, what else? That's the one quality it doesn't have. It has the quality of you're the seer, but it doesn't have the quality of seeing. It's claimed the seeing and turned it into looking, which is blind to the seeing. So that's why it's, when you look for it, you never find it because you are it. It's just this simple. This isn't like an 800-page tirade. It's a simple little sentence or two. So that you, so what do you get rocketed back to? Nowhere. You've just always been there. Then all the need for the rocket and the rocket fuel seems to be pointless. Because you're not waiting or hoping to arrive at the shore. Your attitude is upon having never left the shore. Yeah? So therefore, let's cut out all the sunscreen and everything like that. You arrived. Yeah? Now, you won't see yourself arrive, which is what the mental state is hoping to be there to do. That's why it wants to become a self, or become a being, yes? But it just doesn't want to be a being. Because that doesn't take any time, and it really doesn't have a big role in it, you know. But to become, the spotlight will be on it. Yeah. So let's say you're wanting to merge with God, and 30 years of practice, what's the spotlight been on? God or you? You. I mean, and then when you merge, you quickly come out, and I'm a knower of God. So now I've tasted the nectar of eternity. That's better than being the nectar of eternity. To it, really. To it, it doesn't have any interest in non-duality. You watch. There's a big speed bump in hearing non-duality that most people run into, and then they divert and they do ayahuasca or something like that because they need an experience to verify something. They can't just be it. They have to do something to be it. Yeah, they got to have a big enough shock to entertain the possibility. oh, maybe I have permission not to be that, which is what? But playing God. Now, I don't say, hey, why would you try to fight that? Because that would be also playing God. Just see it. Because if you see it, you can't be it, yeah? So if you see all of its qualities, because it doesn't have any base, it's just claiming of qualities. So you see the manifestations of self, and that's what infers that there isn't one, because there is no self. There's manifestations of it, yeah? Yeah? In other words, when we are entertaining certain ideas, we manifest, right, qualities of self. We see things myopically, everything pertains to me. We can be hurt and threatened because we're an individual, fragile. We may not get what we want or lose what we have because that can happen here in time. So all of those manifestations arise, and it's the manifestations of this idea that defeat us. The idea doesn't defeat us because there isn't a thing called self. That's why I say it's a verb, the act of being identified as self. It's a verb. So we find the manifestation of Paul in the act of being identified as self. And therefore, the manifestations that come from that entertaining defeat self, but Paul is identified as self, so the story is they defeat me. Yeah? So I get defeated by the manifestations of self in my life. Why? Because the glove is punching the shit out of me, motivated by my own hand. Boom, like, Fight Club. And I'm trying to blame them. If the glove would just stop hitting me, pull the glove out, it's you. You've been dreaming. You're the dreaming. And maybe you'll just get accepting of the hitting because you're not that. Instead of, I've got to set out and stop hitting myself. That's another way of hitting yourself, you see? You can't get out of it, by it, or as it. We have that fundamental observation. I don't think it's in the big book of recovery, but enough people found themselves in this dynamic of trying to get out of self as self that they put a great disclaimer for the community. Hey, bro, self can't get out of self. So hopefully it would save you a lot of time by when it hits you, you would realize, wow, that seems to be what I've been in this whole freaking time. I've been trying to get out of me as me. I wanted to experience my own absence. It doesn't work. I want to get it. So these things don't work. And it's not based on the temporary conditions. They don't work. Yeah? It's not like they're gonna work. They don't work. Yeah? It's not like they once worked. They don't work. So that's what they can show you. They failed. So now you stop trying to get out of self as self, and maybe you question, am I actually in what I think I'm in? Am I the glove I find myself in? If not, if you can see the difference, then the hand comes out. Now it may go back in, but now it's not taking itself to be the glove completely. Yes, it realized the hand has always been the hand. The glove was never animated by itself. It's always been animated by me. So I've been entertaining the validity or the relevance of the glove. All right, sure. I don't have to change anything. I just see it. Yeah, I'm not that. So now the hand can be the hand whilst, I like that word, whilst in the glove. Yeah, it doesn't, oh, I've got to get out of the glove to be the hand. No. Yeah. There's an appearance of being in the glove, an appearance. It's appearing to the hand that's in the glove. So what? You know what I mean? How long is it going to last? 80 years? You get a break every day by sleeping for a while. Yeah, is it unbearable to be the glove for like a day? It is if it's going to be for 40 years. It is. It's going to be like this for fucking 40 years. I want to get out of the glove. That's being the glove, you see? It's the movement that keeps the glove on. If you just, the glove can come off, come on, come off, come on. But the hand doesn't change. With the glove on or with the glove off, it's still the hand, yeah? It doesn't become more hand when the glove's off and less hand when the glove is on. That's all in the glove's view, yeah? Because the glove's whole reality is trying to claim is relevance. If it can be the one that's blocking you off from the sunlight of the Spirit, it's fucking pretty powerful, yes? Yes? So this message, hey, I wish it would have changed too. I could have had advanced classes, or fucking, 3 months intensive in Costa Rica, some beautiful place, have some friends make money on my situation by catering it, beautiful food. Some other friends were masseuse. Yeah, come on over. Hey, you teach surfing. Come on, we'll have a whole little family business. 3 months, and you come back for 5 months, and then you're getting it, make different sashes, higher. Wow, Yes, you're almost ready to teach. You're getting close. Give me your franchise application, and I'll send you out. I'd love it. That would be great. People would think I had something. That I was special, give me license to do a lot of shit I can't get away with now, probably. You know what I mean? Because people would misconstrue any action I did as part of the path. I mean, it would be nice, I guess. But of course, there's a lot of unintended consequences. I think it's much nice just to sort of have a very clear realization, this isn't me coming. And I'm not even speaking to you, really. Yeah, I don't care if you get it or don't get it, because you are it, really. I'm just going to keep putting it out there year after year, and I'll rest my case, because I presented the same case, I don't know how many years ago. I haven't changed. Just, there it is. There's the spiritual subpoena. You are it. And, I have faith that for some it will dawn. For some, it doesn't matter if it dawns or not. They'll travel lighter. Some, they'll lose interest in all this shit as a topic, which is, to me, a very high level of understanding. Losing interest in spirituality. I do. And you'll find yourself, you won't even be taking notes about where you are, really. How am I feeling? You have no idea. I haven't checked in months, really. How am I feeling? Am I happy with my life? I don't fucking care. You know what I mean? It's just here because I can't be anywhere else. That's basically it. It's not a reluctance, it's just a sober assessment. Yeah. And the idea of getting into the moment used to be so great. I would buy tickets to far off places with the hopes of getting into the moment more. I would. And I probably still would. Yeah. The new phase would be South America, and then there'll be Siberia, shamans in Siberia, whatever, There'll be other things, or there'll be a microdosing of 8 different things, trying to stay a little loaded on LSD all day, and then do my job, or whatever. It could go on, it's going to go on and on and on and on and on, because that which you're not finds a lot of itself in looking for what it is. Yeah, it does. If you just turn that around and question what you're not, you'll find out what you are. And it won't take time. It will be very sudden. Now, does it stabilize? Who gives a shit about that? Yeah. How could that which is everywhere not be everywhere? Yeah. It doesn't need your attention to it or not. It doesn't. You're going to fall off like a skin off a snake in the spring when the skin molts. Why would you hold everything about the snake in hostage to the skin? Why? You know what I mean? Who gives a shit if the skin gets it or not? Who gives a shit if it stabilizes for the skin? The skin is totally unstable. The mental idea is an agitated state. There's no peace there. You're not going to arrive at, if you arrived at peace, you'd be worried you wouldn't be there the next day. You wouldn't be able to enjoy it. You wouldn't. Yeah, that's why there's a very beautiful Zen saying, hey, you can't use activity to produce stillness. Listen to it. You can't use activity. So how would you mean use activity by sitting still? No, using activity also this. You can't use this to produce stillness. That would be activity. Yes? Hear it? You can't use activity to produce stillness, that would be activity. Yes? So when this goes to the party sucks. Don't change everything, get different. It's gonna suck as soon as you arrive, because you're the agitation. You're not agitated. You're the agitation. When you're identified as the mental state, you're the agitation that you're wanting to get out of by relying on the agitation or this activity to produce a stillness, so this activity would get relief from itself. But doing that is just more activity. Yeah? That isn't an individual suggestion. It's a diagnosis of mind. It's a diagnosis of the mental state. If you recognize it, if it sounds like, I'll say it again, it's a simple line. It's translated a lot of ways. This is one of the translations. In Faith Mind, a famous Zen treatise, it says you can't use activity. So here, all right, I'm doing, let's say, meditation, activity. But this is also using activity. Yeah? So you can't use activity to produce stillness. And then he doesn't let you wait, but let's say you wait. Well, what do you mean? Because then you're seeing that's what you're trying to do all fucking day. Trying to produce, using activity to try to produce an advantage, or to try to produce some pleasure, or try to produce some this or some that, yes? So there's a managing or attempting to manage and control situations with the hopes that if I can make them a certain way, they translate to me being okay, yes? So he's giving you a simple suggestion, and it says you can't use that activity, the mental state, to produce stillness. That would be activity. So right here, yeah? Probably somebody locked themselves out of their car. Five giant fire trucks, and the cat will be up the bush, not even a tree. You know, a way over fucking reaction to a situation. Yeah, so you can't use activity to produce stillness. He's not fucking condemning us. It's trying to show you so you can see your own head. Yeah? Because your own head isn't your own head. It's head. Yeah? So here, you can't use activity. There's a lot of activity. To produce, where obviously I can't use this activity to produce stillness. That's more activity. So I'll just surrender to the activity. And see, it's not my house they're going to. So, all right, you can't use activity to produce stillness. That would be activity. Yes. You can't use the sheep to arrive at the lion because you are a lion. So, do you need to study lion? Or do you need to study sheep? I would say the sheep, yeah? There isn't a sheep, it's sheeping. So you study what you're not, and in studying what you're not, you find out what you are. That's a direction in a way. Instead of trying to study what you are to find out that to be more of what you are, yeah, because obviously you must think you're less of what you are right now to be looking for it, obviously. You must believe you're something other than what you are to spend a lot of time trying to arrive there, yes? Obviously, the logic has to have a springboard, so the belief is the springboard. All right, so there's something lacking in me, and I believe if I found my authentic self or my ultimate self, that would fulfill me. Yeah. All right. So I set off on that course based on what? That I'm a less than. I'm a lacking. I'm a defective, marred thing. But if I ever met myself or purified myself enough, I could arrive at being my real thing, which from here would seem to be a lot better than this thing. Yeah. So there you go. So the point is, enough of people have done this, and they've realized it hasn't worked. This is a big event.
It's a big cat.
We're on fire here. My ass is on fire. And now, like if they all had tails like dogs, when they come back, they're going to be dripping. Because nothing happened. There's like no fire. Didn't save anybody. They were all here. Oh, it was a cat. Why can't they give us a, So yes, I can talk over fucking anything. Because I know the sirens are going to go. They come and go. This message doesn't. The delivery of the message may come and go, but the message doesn't. The message doesn't go anywhere. I can't miss the target. It's the easiest zen of archery because there's no target. I don't have to hit a shit because I know if it gets through you, not to you, but through you, then it's hit the target, yeah? And the only thing that can seem to deflect it is the act of being identified as what you're not, really. That's the only way it gets diverted. The only way, see, a master like Huang Po would never have talked to Steve, Bill, and Mary and said, hey Steve, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, unless he was talking to the Buddha, aka Steve, yes? So the Buddha was in the act of being identified as Steve, seemingly. It was appearing to the Buddha that it was. It wasn't true, nor will it ever be true, yeah? But right at that moment in time, it's appearing to be true to that which is dreaming, which is Buddha. So the Buddha is taking himself to be Steve, and he's in the act of, especially at one of these talks, he's in the act of using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Because from Steve, the Buddha becomes a target, or a goal, or a conceptualized version, preferably dead, most people, so it doesn't move and upset your ideas of it, yeah? It's better that way because they're inert, they're not moving around and acting out or anything. They're not farting or getting pissed off in traffic or maybe going out with too many women in your view, yeah? So they're dead, so therefore Steve is looking for the Buddha as the Steve sees him, yeah? So Steve has an idea of what the Buddha is, and it's sure not like the idea he has of Steve, so Steve is now using Buddhism to seek the Buddha. Great way of life for Steve. But Huang Po wasn't seeing Steve as Steve. He was seeing Steve as the Buddha. So he's attempting to talk to the Buddha, right, through Steve and going, hey, Buddha, you can't use yourself to find yourself. So let's just settle it. Why would he say that to the Buddha unless in this imaginary dreaming, the Buddha was doing just that? Yeah, the Buddha was using itself to find itself. So Huang Po goes, psst, Buddha, yeah. And then Steve, of course, thinks it's the one hearing the message, but thank God Huang Po wasn't delivering it to Steve. He was delivering it through Steve, yes, with the hopes that the Buddha hears it. And he doesn't even have hope, he has faith because he knows all there is Buddha. All there is mind, yeah? So now, hey Buddha, you can't use yourself to find yourself. And then he gives you a double tap. You can't use mind, big mind. And when I talk about big mind, it's like awareness. It's like everything, nothing. It's like whatever can never be described, whatever, all that, yeah? And light, you can't use mind to seek mind. You can't use light to seek light. You can't, so whatever you call it, you can't use, let's say Allah to seek Allah, you can't use whatever to seek whatever, you can't use Buddha to seek Buddha, you can't use Jesus to seek Jesus, you know? You could change the names, but basically he's sharing a fundamental conundrum that seems to get traction by an act of being identified, yeah? So you're identified as Steve, you forget that you're Christ mind, and now Steve's looking to acquire Christ mind, using Christ mind all the while. So in time, that would disguise Christ mind, yeah? Obviously. As long as Christ mind was entertaining that it was trying to find Christ mind, it couldn't be in the absoluteness of being Christ, yeah? Because being Christ mind would just negate the whole story of finding it, yeah? And you wouldn't do much to seek for it if you are it. You really probably wouldn't. You would see seeking for it as a detriment, yeah? Really. And having interest in it is a detriment. It's the exact thing you think is driving you to the goal is actually the obscuring agent, which is mind-boggling. It's a very big rude awakening. When you realize, Jesus, this is exactly what's been happening. I have, quote unquote, been in the act of using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Wow. How long could it have gone? Forever, maybe, in time. Yeah. Any time wasn't influential, it'd be obvious, I'm the Buddha. But then in time, it would be clothed as being unobvious to the Buddha, because now the Buddha's entertaining time. It's sort of like seeing. When seeing manifests in time, it becomes a form of looking in a weird way. So now the seeing is being used to look for what's seeing. As St. Francis tried to help us with, what's looking, which is really the seeing, is what you're looking for. So really, what's seeing is what you're looking for. You're using the seeing to look for it. Yeah? You see, you're using the seeing. You as the seer is a form of looking. So now the seeing, which is what you are, you're using the seer, you, to look for it. Yeah? And he's trying to save you time by going, you, that which is looking for it, is what you're looking for. What? Yeah. There's not 800 pages after that statement. It's a very clean, crisp statement because it's like a wake-up call. Yeah? And you don't wake up to anything. You really, in a sense, here, you wake from something. You wake up from Paul. You don't wake up as Paul. You wake up from the idea of Paul. Yeah. And then you clearly realize Paul is never getting it. Paul is a very, very concise, limited programming. Paul is it's a small house, you can't put 30 windows in it. It's just got a myopic view. Everything's forward, it's looking out all the time. And when it believes it's looking in, it's looking at what's out. So it never goes in anywhere. It's always out. It's always out. And then it comes back to an idea in your head, which is out, and then out. And you're fucking dying. It's like living on one breath and a complete exhale. So you have enough oomph to last 80 years, but you can't take, because nothing goes in. Yeah, it's just out. Yeah, you don't even know what the back of your head looks like. You fucking don't even know you got a big coffee stain here. You're walking around, someone, put a target, hit the asshole right here. Who knows? You have no idea. You could walk around all day, but here, you're fucking everything. You gotta see, this isn't like, oh, pick your model. No, this is the model. The model is limited, self-centered, has a myopic view, but fucking totally believes it's right. And there you go. It's like a world of bumper cars. Collide. You can't really get hurt because they're all boom, 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 Just see its limitations. The car's never going to get out of the car, but the passenger could easily get out. The passenger doesn't see itself as the car, so there's a lot of escapes for the passenger. The car trying to get out of the car, it doesn't see any escape. Yeah, it wants to get out of the car as a car, as a car, as a car, as a car. So you see what you're not, and then possibilities that are not available to what you're not become available, which is I'm not that. Now, if what you're not wants to get I'm not that, that's just more of it. Yeah. But you see it from another aspect, whatever you want to call it. Your mind isn't like 6'2" and 170 pounds. It's a bigger, it's got a much bigger field of play. Yeah. So once the possibilities are amazing, that then you have the ability to enjoy peace of mind, like we say in recovery. You'll have the ability. So basically it's determined on getting out of self sufficiently, and then you'll be able to enjoy peace of mind. Well, if you've never been in self, then the ability to enjoy peace of mind is readily available. It's not conditional, it's not based on you, it's based on fact, yeah? I am of mind, I can enjoy what I am of, which is peace of mind, yes? Yeah. So see what you're not. You will arrive at what you are, and upon arrival, you will see on having never left, really, yeah? Just don't, stop looking for what you are, just see what you're not, yeah? And then it's not even stop looking, don't, keep looking for what you are. It's a beautiful view of what you're not, because it really leans out. Just thinking maybe it'll take lifetimes, it really extends out of the shell, you can see it, really. You can catch it. You can't get in there fast enough. It's really, I really want to. And then, oh, you can see what you're not. So you see what you're not. You saw it in addiction. You can see it in spiritual addiction. These forms of addiction really pull it out so you can see it. And you see what you're not. And then it infers or implies or it intimates what you are. You cannot have an experience of what you are. So there are things that from what you're not, you're really hoping for, which is to experience it, to have it, to get it, you know, to claim it. Those aren't available. So you got to get weaned off of those drives, or see you're not that with those drives. You're not that. So you're not an experience junkie. The mental state isn't a junkie about experience, because it implies that it lasts longer than the experiences. And that's all it's trying to do, is extend its story in time, yeah? So experiences are a great way, because I had this great experience in Hawaii, and I was having all the experiences in Northern California. I'm now having all the experiences in Northern California, so therefore I seem to be there a lot longer than the little experience in Hawaii, yes? So the mental state's constantly using experience to extend itself as the one who had all the experiences, yeah? So experiences are like a cosmetic mirror it can get every day. Oh, good to see you. Yeah? Because it has a mobile pond, yeah? Narcissus, his pond is mobile. It's not, it's everywhere it goes, it's looking at itself, it's looking at its reflection. You think it's this way, it's really this way too. It's this. It's constantly seeing it was Narcissus, will be Narcissus, all day Narcissus, yeah? That pond is mobile. Brings its own mirror. Just all day. It's insane. All the addictions that we've had in life, I mean, I had seemingly a heavy addiction, not even close to the addiction of self, not even close. They're like little, they're like miniature HO scale descriptions of the addiction to self. It's unbelievable, because you were there when before you were addict, during addict, after addict. Yeah, it's still you. The addiction to you extends. Doesn't have to change. Just see it. See, and if you see it, you can't be it. Obviously, you can't see what you are, but you can see what you're not. Yeah. So, and if you think, see all the manifestations of self, because that's how the self gets implied. There is no self. You're never going to see what you're not, because there isn't anything there. There is no what you're not. Yeah, but you'll see appearances and patterns, yeah, of mental states. Yeah, and by seeing them, they're the finger that's always pointing to the imaginary moon. Yeah. So you see the pointing, but there's nothing it's pointing at. It's actually pointing at what you are. You're the dreaming, yeah? You're the only thing here. or no thing. Yes? Yeah. So like Ramana would say, you know, you catch the thief, but you're the policeman. They're all the same. Yeah, it's all selfing going on. Yeah, and yet you're the context of it, and you're seeing it. Yeah, yeah. And if you see just a little, it can imply a whole lot. Yeah. So you see what you're not, maybe in just a second, but in that seeing it, it implies what you are. Yes, it intimates what you are. So you get a sense of it, a feeling of it. That goes a lot further than anything else. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Any questions today? But you don't get identified with it. There's an identification with it. And then there's that tags a you. And then there's the act of being identified as that you. And now a new story spawns off. You're identified as it again. Yes? This is what it's doing. It's like taking totally train cars that have nothing to do with it and hooking it up to an engine. Yeah? So there's mine's identified with it. Then it says it's you that's identified with it. You identify with that, right? And now you're on a train ride. And then there's, oh, now I've been identified with it for a few fucking days. I'm trying to get out of it, listening to 14 hours of videos, this and that. All based on that you're in it, which is not true. So now you're trying to get out of self as self again. I'm just trying to share the whole thing right this hour. Yeah? That's it. So now, as soon as it establishes that it's the you that's identified, which there's just an identification with it. The identification with it is used to imply there's you that's in the identification with it. As soon as that gets established, it's like a Game of Thrones and all the shows that will come off. What do they call them? Spin-offs. So there's tons of fucking spin-offs. Once it gets the premise in place, you're identified with it again. I was seeing it, now I'm identified with it again. That's bullshit. See it. I've just shared it with you. You don't stop there or start there. You're prior to that. Yeah? And then when it does another slick move, you're prior to that. Yeah? It can never get behind thee. Yeah? You always... Yeah. See. Anything you see is what you're not. Yeah? You're the seeing of what you're not. That's a basic, the closest description of what I am here as an activity is the seeing of what I'm not. That's as close as you could describe it. If you were like, all right, did you see the burglar? Yes. All right. The closest I can tell you is, it's not that, netty, and now I leave, I rest my case. Yeah. So you see it. You see that? It hooked up. So the head, you were maybe enjoying lack of it. Then it rose. Oh, I'm identified again. See? There's an implying of the statement. There's a you that's identified. That's taken to be granted. Now you're the passenger and also actually the engine. And now, all right, it adds a couple more cars. And then, oh, you blew it. What did you do to get identified as again? Fuck, how did it sneak in? I thought I was free from this and whatever. It goes, and then it's, and then a lot of track gets laid, and then you take trips. They're going to end in time, and you'll continue, but hey, you can get off the train by realizing you never got on the train. You're not going to get off the train after the idea that you were on the train, and that doesn't work. That's being in the train. You see you're not on the train. So therefore, then the move of wanting to get off is seen, and it's not causing a react. You're not getting drawn into it. Yeah? So you just see it. You see the pantomime. It's almost like a vaudevillian act. You see it. And then when you go to another vaudeville show in Omaha, it's the same fucking show, the same jokes, and wow, wait a minute, I saw the same fucking thing in New York, and you see it in Hawaii. So you keep seeing more and more what you're not. It's that the hook isn't, it lays a hook and then then there's a taking of the bait, and as soon as the taking of the bait is, you feel like you're a fish or a you. That's identified, and then it brings in history. Then you feel like you've been a fish or identified for a long time, and then the fear that you're going to continue to be a fish. This happens in a matter of no time. It arises that fast. It's like tons of slides, yeah? But you're the light that's moving through the slides. We see the projection, yeah? We're not seeing the light going through the slides. We're thinking we're sitting there seeing the projection as a real movie that's happening to us, yeah? But we're before that, yeah? So what? You can see it. And it's finite. It doesn't have thousands of combinations. It doesn't. It has a few that it hides with degrees and length of time and different nouns, but it's the same move, yeah? Now, if you feel like you're hooked, then don't fucking use non-duality as a fucking skillful means. Go help somebody. Watch a movie, you know? Have your attention drawn out of there, because it's the attention itself is reinforcing the slavery at that moment. So you don't be thinking about it. No, it's like fucking throwing logs on the fire. Send this thing around the corner for an hour or two, and then situation will change, and Armageddon will pass, and you'll see nothing really ever really happened, you know? All the huffing and puffing was about nothing. Hopefully, after you see that enough times, you can see more, that's all. So yeah, that's why we have skillful means. Skillful means are of time, yeah? Non-duality is not of time. It's about what's before time. So the freedom from the bondage isn't acquired after the bondage, it's before the bondage. You see the activity of the bondage being used to imply the you that's bound, because that's the only reason why it's important to you. You don't give a shit about millions of people bound now. But if it's you that's bound, it's a big fucking deal. So you see us a lot, you know. You see it, and then you're amazed over time. Like, I'll tell you something. No, I'll do it. It's another thing. You'll just be amazed over time. The results are beautiful, and they may be in a small arena, but they're very huge. You'll travel lighter as this. You will. And it'll be amazed that certain chronic conditions aren't there anymore. And he didn't, or she didn't do anything to promote their end. They've dissipated, and yet the story continues. And now the story is getting happier as it continues, fucking far out. Yeah, were you gambling and hoping for that? You've lost any of that. You're just accepting what is, and what is getting a lot lighter than it used to be here. So, yeah, whatever hope I had years and years ago has been verified by my own experience here. Yeah, it's amazing, really. And then you know the problem from the solution. You know the agitation by relief from it. That's where you really learn about things. You get relief from that which seemed irritating, yeah? And you get down to the exact nature of wrongs and the causes and conditions. You don't play around with see, if you keep trying to just get relief from fires without seeing your role in fires, you're gonna have to be a fucking practice fire putter out of, yeah? You've got to see your role here to the extent of it will lead to the idea in the Course in Miracles that you and I are the dreaming of the dreaming. Your role is huge here. I mean, you're giving everything all the meaning it has. That's an incredible role. You can't pin that on anything else here. You cannot pin it on. You may want to pin it on God, but that message wasn't directed to, it was directed to God, really, aka Paul, yeah. That you and I are giving everything all the meaning it has, yeah. We are not in a dream. We're not in a dream of some divine power. We are the dreaming itself. We are the activity of manifestation. We are the dreaming. The head wants to be the dreamt, really. It would like to be the king of the dreamt, or the most special dreamt, or the greatest dreamt, or the wisest dreamt. But it would love to be the dreaming as the dreamt, but it has a stubbornness about the dreamt. Yeah. It thinks the dreamt is real. Yeah. All right, well, that's that, I think, today.